When reading our bike reviews or deciding on a bike, we publish a series of measurements that we take from the bike. These are to help you decide if the bike's the right shape and size for you, but also allows you to compare your existing bike with maybe the bikes you're thinking of. The first measurement we're going to look at is the chainstay length, also known as the rear centre. This measurement is taken from the centre of the rear hub to the centre of the bottom bracket. The typical measurements you'll find on modern bikes today are 450mm on your 2.9ers and about 435 for your 650B bikes. That's the sort of ballpark figure for your rear centre or chainstay lengths. The next measurement we're going to look at is the front centre. This measurement is taken from the centre of the bottom bracket to the centre of the front fork axle. Bearing in mind the forks and the handlebars do need to be at 90 degrees to the top tube. Otherwise we're going to get false readings if the fork is twisted either way. The next measurement we're going to look at that you'll see on bike geometry charts is the wheelbase. This measurement is taken centre of rear axle to centre of front axle. It's not as simple as just adding up your front centre and your rear centre, because depending on where your bottom bracket height sits, can just alter that ever so slightly. The next measurement we're going to look at is the down tube measurement. This is a really good measurement to see if the bike is going to fit you or not. One thing to be aware of though, if you're going to compare it to the length of the down tube on your old bike and your new bike has different wheel sizes, they won't correlate, so be aware of that. But this is how we get the numbers. We measure from the centre of the bottom bracket to the centre of the bottom of the head tube. Now we need to take the bike out of the stand, prop it up as upright as possible, as the next series of measurements need to be taken with the bike sitting static on the floor. Once you've got your bike propped up, handlebars sitting square to the top tube, you need to calibrate whatever you're going to use to find your angles. I've got an angle finder here. You can get lots of apps for smartphones now. So you need to run something straight between the wheels, and you need to calibrate whatever you're going to be using. So that's calibrated and reading 0, 0. Now we're going to look at how we get the head tube angle. The best place to take this measurement is on the fork stanchions. If we start trying to measure the actual head tube, you can see this head tube's tapered, so we're going to get a false reading. The head tube angle is something that does vary with wheel size as well. Be aware of that if you are changing wheel size and you're comparing it to your existing bike. Naturally, 29-inch wheel bikes do have steeper head angles to 650B bikes, and the more aggressive the ride of the bike, the slacker the head angle tends to be. Downhill bikes tend to be in the low 60s, and some steeper race 2.9 bikes tend to be nearer the 70s. The two top tube measurements you'll see is effective and actual. The actual top tube is from centre here to centre here. We publish the effective top tube. This measurement is taken from the centre of the head tube to the point on the seat post where a horizontal line meets. We do publish this top tube measurement, but it's not an amazing measurement to go by, as it is affected by your seat angle. Better measurements to go by really are your down tube measurement that we've looked at and the reach measurement that we are going to look at next. A lot of bike manufacturers do publish the reach measurement. However, it is a hard measurement to come by, because ultimately you either need a series of levels or a plumb line. I'm just going to explain how you find this measurement. You need to picture an imaginary line that comes vertically up from the centre of your bottom bracket, up here, and then you need a horizontal line that comes from the top of your top tube across, and your reach measurement is this measurement here. The good thing with this measurement is it eliminates the seat tube angle, and it doesn't alter with different wheel sizes. The next measurement we're going to look at is the actual seat angle. This takes into account the fact that not all seat tubes line up perfectly with the centre of the bottom bracket. When we looked at the effective top tube measurement, we had a point on our seat post where it was sitting, where a horizontal line went between the centre of the head tube to the seat post. What we need to do, we need to put a line now from that point through the bottom bracket. As you can see, this measurement is different to what you might have thought, because it's not this angle here, it's actually this angle coming into the bottom bracket. It's a lot easier to see this angle on a lot of hardtails because the seat tube usually does come straight, in a straight line, straight into the middle of the bottom bracket. On a lot of full suspension bikes, the seat tube is interrupted, or like on this bike, it comes in front of the bottom bracket. The last measurement we're going to look at is bottom bracket height. These are sometimes published in two different ways. Bottom bracket drop and bottom bracket height. Drop is when you take a line from the centre of the front axle and the centre of the rear axle, draw that line through there and see if this point here, which is the bottom bracket, is higher of that line or beneath that line, and it's that measurement. This varies depending on wheel size, so you can compare 2.9 with 2.9, 650 with 650, but it's not comparable across the bike wheel sizes. The measurement we publish is the actual bottom bracket height, which is this measurement to the ground. The best way to do that is measure from this side of the cranks to the ground and do the same on the other side. Add those two measurements together and divide it by 2. That will take out any imperfections you have from the bike leaning one way or the other as you've propped it up. Just be aware that bikes for different disciplines will change geometry as well. If at the moment you're riding a steeper cross-country bike and you're looking at a new, aggressive, enduro style bike, the numbers are going to be very different. You can't be getting out on a bike and testing it and seeing what works for you, and then you'll get an understanding of which numbers make the most importance for what you want.